Peterson has been a designer in the industry for the past 18 years and is the author of over 10 craft how-to books ranging from polymer clay to jewelry making. She's appeared on many crafting shows on TV and the web, and she is currently the host of Friendly Plastic TV. I personally want to give a shout-out thank you to Linda for filling in at the very last minute on today's show. I'm delighted to welcome Linda Peterson. Hi, Linda.
Hey everybody, thanks for having me, Tiffany. It's great to be here even if it is short notice. And today what I did is I put together a really quick little springtime bunny project out of polymer clay. And if Tiffany, if you can put up the little slide, the slide of the bunny project that I gave you, this is kind of an idea of what we're going to do. It'll be a little variation of this, but it will give you an idea of the little springtime bunny project. Could you put up the slide of the 6 simple shapes technique? There, okay, there's the little bunny project that we're going to be doing, kind of minus the bow because I forgot the bow. And then Tiffany, if you can put up the slide of the 6 simple shapes technique slide, that's the one with all the different shapes. But I teach sculpting in 6 different shapes, and you can see on the slide there that everything starts out with a ball. That's the orange ball in the upper left-hand corner. Everything is rolled from a ball. People think that sculpting has to be some really difficult thing, and it's not. It's just very simple shapes blended together. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to show you, and I'll describe each shape. I'm going to set the camera down here so you can see that I have everything laid out. And we're going to work, I usually work from the body. I start with the body, which I have, if you saw that 6 simple shape, this is a tapered log. And tapered logs can be in any size. We're going to use tapered logs also for the legs and the arms. This tapered log is bigger. And you can tell a tapered log because it is fatter on one end than it is on the other. And to roll a tapered log, all you do is you simply roll a ball in your hand. And then with one side of your palm, you can do this in your hand or you can do it on a work surface. You just roll it back and forth until it gets as long as you want. So we're going to start out, let me put these pieces to the side here. We're going to start out with this tapered log that I've already made here. And what I'm going to do, he's going to sit, so I'm going to press it into the table. And you'll want to elongate the neck. Now I'm working upside down to the camera so that you can see it right side up. So this is probably going to be a little lopsided as I work. But any indentations that you get here, you can just simply roll out and you can smooth this out. Take as long as you need. You're going to work a little bit with the shape and then you're going to refine the shape a little bit because as you work you'll distort each shape just a little bit. So we've got a nice long fat body. And you know what really helps me when I'm creating the characters have personality is to kind of think of a silly little story. So I always think of a little story about, you know, when I was little and I would play with my stuffed animals and then I get tired of them and I kind of throw them against in a corner and they just kind of lay there with their little bodies out. So there's our body. Now we're going to work on the legs. And again, I have already rolled a tapered log. It's thicker at this end than it is at this end, but we have to refine that shape. So what we're going to do is we're going to press this log against, you can either do this against your thumb or you can do this against the table. And now you can see that I've kind of created a foot shape there. Okay. So I'll work with this just a little bit. I'm going to pull up the leg. Bunnies tend to have long, fat feet here. I try to make everything look really kind of like a character or a caricature where things are kind of oversized, nothing's really in proportion. To me, if it looks too big, it is, and if it looks too small, it is. So if it looks too big, take out some clay. If it looks too small, add some clay. Now we're going to create the feet, and the first thing I'm going to do, I'll do this to right side towards me, and then I'll turn it over so you can see it. I'm using a needle tool. You can use either a needle tool or you can use a corsage pin, works really well. And I'm just going to create 2 indentations. Now I'm going to create his little toes. Okay. And this is a clay shaper. This is a rubber tip tool that I use. And this just kind of refines the shape a little bit. Now you can see that, I don't know if you can see, his toes are all spread out. We'll push them back together. And I'm just going to work until I refine and get the shape that I like. It won't take too much time with this one. So you're going to do this obviously again, and you'll have 2 matching feet. This one's better because I did this one before the show. So then you'll press your 2 matching feet into his body. Now the clay sticks to itself, and I will say a good tip, if you're having trouble with the clay sticking to the body or the any arms and legs, I tend to add a little bit of oil, like mineral oil, baby oil, kitchen, just cooking oil, a drop to my clay, and it makes it a little easier to work with, keeps it conditioned nice and easy there. So now we've got a bunny with his feet. Now I got to work with the arms. Again, the arms are the same thing. I'm working with a tapered log, and this time I've rounded out the end of the tapered log more to a ball. You can kind of see that there. And what I do is I think of them more as kind of like a big baseball mitt. So I'm pressing it flat and I'm pinching a little thumb. Just kind of work and refine. Remember, you're going to work a little bit, refine the shape a little bit. You can elongate the arm. When you get the shape that you like, let me turn him around here. Then I'm just going to, whoops, put that one on upside down. And put his little arms on. Now think about the way you want him sitting. I mean, he can sit sideways, he can sit straight on, just, or she, anything that you want. Leave this neck nice and long. Before you put the head on, you want to take a toothpick, and I'm going to stick it down into the neckline. I know this looks kind of morbid, but this gives the neckline some stability. You can also use a wire if you don't have toothpicks. I'm just going to snip that off there. And we're going to set this little body aside, and we're going to work on the face. Let's see here. I have pre-made some eyes. Thanks, Tiffany. I've pre-made some eyes, and all I've done is I've rolled little balls of black clay and pre-baked them. And this head here is a shape, I call it a rounded triangle. And a rounded triangle is just like you would think. It's a triangle shape, but with the ends kind of rounded off and cut off. So that's the shape that I like. You can make it a cube or a square. You can even make it round. But we're going to make this real simple. And the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to give him a little mouth area. And so I'm going to take my needle tool and poke it down there. Refine this just a little bit to give him some cheeks. You can see it's very gentle pressure. Don't press too hard, because then you'll leave really big indentations. And now I'm going to use my clay shaper. It's that rounded rubber tip tool, and I'm going to make an area for the eye. So I'm going to poke in and swirl the tip around real big. These are pretty deep set eyes. And then I'm just going to drop in a couple of my pre-baked beads. You can use glass beads if you can find them in the size that you want. If you use bigger eyes, it tends to give it a more baby look and a little bit more innocent, kind of a childish look. And I'm just shaping the eyes right there. Okay? So you can use your clay shaper. Keep refining. If you don't like it, start over again. It's really, really simple. Now, we're going to hollow out the neckline. This is so it can fit over his body. And we're just going to press it right down. Whoops. Pressed it a little too far. Okay, something like this. So now he's attached to the neck. To cover that up. And the ears. The ears are teardrops. And you can make teardrops, again, just by rolling a tapered log, and then I've used an acrylic brayer to roll over the top of them. And I've created the ears. So you can put in little embellishments and little things, add little details, and I recommend that you do this closer to the end, just before the bunny goes into the oven or your project goes into the oven, because if you do it as you're working, you tend to mess them up, and you won't see him by the time he's ready to be baked. Oh, and by the way, I'm using a real light pale yellow for this bunny project. And this particular clay I have has a little bit of glitter inside of it. Now, you can just attach the bunny ears, but what I would recommend is that you add either a piece of wire, which I forgot to bring, so I'll just use toothpick and insert this. If you don't do that, your ears will tend to break off. So just add the points. Let's see. And then in order to prevent misshaping your head, then go ahead and wherever you want the ears, and I'm just going to guess here because I'm looking upside down, add a little hole there to put the end of your toothpicks in. You might even have to prop this little, hang on just a second, let me take his head off. Off with his head. Kind of shorten that toothpick up a little bit, it kept poking through. Okay, we'll fix that. So you can bend the ears however shape, whatever shape that you want. He needs a little nose, so I've got some pink clay here. And I'll roll a little ball for his nose. Let's see, does that look right? Okay. And, okay, so now essentially he's finished, or she's finished. And you can go ahead and you can add all the little embellishments and details. For example, I can add some pink little foot pads by just flattening out a little pink ball, and I can add it here. Okay, this here I have used a flat sheet of polymer clay, the pink, and I've run it through the pasta machine on a very thin setting, a number 1 setting, and I've actually used a paper punch. If you do it thin enough that you can punch out little tiny pink flowers, so you can embellish with pink flowers, anything you want to do. Now let me tell you a really cool trick to, let me put these flowers on real quick, to add the little green foliage. What I've done is I have green clay and I have it smashed on top of white clay, so it's just a ball of kind of marbleized clay, and I have a little tool here that I actually broke off. It was a little hook. But what I do is I just shave the two colors together, creates them like a little, real pretty little dainty leaf, and then I can just add these shavings to my character. Now, after you get the character completely finished, it is ready to go into the oven. Be sure to check your manufacturer's baking temperatures because all clays bake a little bit differently, but typically they're going to bake anywhere from 230 degrees up all the way up to 275. So kind of check your manufacturer's recommended baking temperatures. I would bake him for at least 30 minutes, 45 minutes in the oven. Make sure that he's completely cool before you touch him, because as the clay is warm, it's at its most fragile state. And after that, you can add any embellishments. You can chalk it up, give him some little pink rosy cheeks, and enjoy your little project.